Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We start with something good because support comes from ZBiotics. Listen, I don't say this lightly. This stuff actually works, okay? ZBiotics is the world's first pre-alcohol probiotic drink, and it has been a total game changer for me. Here's why. When you drink, alcohol converts into a toxic byproduct right in your gut. It is that buildup. That's really what causes those rough mornings. Well, ZBiotics helps your body break that stuff down while you sleep, and so you wake up feeling yourself again. Now, I tried it before for the first time with friends at a dinner party, had a glass of wine or two, and the next morning, I was up, clear-headed, and ready to work. So just make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Make sure you make it your first drink of the night, and make sure you drink responsibly, and then you're going to feel your best tomorrow, okay? So make the most of every toast, everybody, every tailgate, every late night party this season. Go to zbiotics.com/lemon and use the code LEMON for 15% off of your first order. And remember, they offer a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/lemon. Use the code LEMON for 15% off.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. I'm a little bit quiet because I am traveling today in Washington, D.C., back to New York. But let me just tell you, we had a completely different show planned for you. And then all of a sudden, there was the breaking news that happened in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the breaking news from the New York Times. Epstein alleged in emails that Trump knew of his conduct. Again, that is the breaking news that is happening. We're going to go through that. So welcome, everybody. Good morning. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. We appreciate it because it does affect the algorithm and more people become aware of our conversation. And this one is a big one. You know, we have been saying the entire time it's Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. And now we are back to this, to Epstein. All of the craziness, all of the mania, all of the deflecting, all of everything, it leads back to Jeffrey Epstein. And now here we are with a Jeffrey Epstein story. So breaking news, where are the darn files? Well, we're going to find out in the files very shortly because Alita Grijalva from Arizona is going to be sworn in this week as soon as Congress is back in session. And then we're going to find out, shortly when they vote. They're going to have to release these files. We'll see how the administration deals with this then leading up till this and once it finally happens. But the White House has not responded. In the meantime, I want to get your report, and then we're going to go through this report and tell you there are people here who are mentioned who may be in some trouble now. Because there are emails, there's evidence, and these are emails that have been released by the Oversight Committee. As a matter of fact, we're going to have the head of the Oversight Committee, Robert Garcia, who's going to come on in just moments and talk to us about what this all means. But first, here's a report from ABC News.
These are records that the department, or rather the House Oversight Committee, subpoenaed from the Epstein estate. Reams, thousands of pages worth, released this morning by Democrats on that panel, several mentioning President Trump by name.
This morning, the bombshell release of what House Democrats say are emails to and from deceased convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, several referring to President Donald Trump by name. In an April 2011 email released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, lawmakers say Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, 3 years after pleading guilty to sex crimes involving a minor, telling her, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Unnamed victims spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." According to the released emails, Maxwell responds, "I have been thinking about that." But this summer, in a recorded interview with the Department of Justice, Maxwell told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the president's former lawyer, she never witnessed Trump act inappropriately.
"I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects."
Shortly after that interview, Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison camp, prompting criticism she received special treatment. Committee Democrats also releasing this January 2019 email where Epstein corresponds with author Michael Wolff less than 6 months before the financier would be charged again, this time with sex trafficking of minors. Discussing President Trump's repeated claim he kicked Epstein out of his Palm Beach club, Epstein writing, "Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." President Trump has denied any knowledge of Epstein's alleged crimes.
It's a hoax. It's started by Democrats.
After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump said he hadn't spoken with him in 15 years. And earlier this year, Trump claimed the reason he banned his one-time friend from Mar-a-Lago in the mid-2000s was because Epstein stole Trump's club staff, including young women.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
And no response yet from the White House on the release of these emails. Meantime, right up here on Capitol Hill, in just hours, Speaker Mike Johnson will swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. The speaker has prevented her from 7 weeks now from taking her seat. She says one of her first orders of business will be signing that petition, providing the last signature it needs to force a vote on the House floor for the release of thousands of other pages of the Department of Justice's Epstein records. Once she does that, the clock starts ticking down to that vote, expected in the coming weeks, George.
Wow. That is a bombshell of a report. That's a bombshell of a report. And now I guess you can understand why Donald Trump has been so adamant about not having this information released, calling it a Democratic hoax. By the way, I forgot what day it was, but it is Wednesday, and this is the day the House is going to go back in session, and they are actually going to swear in the new representative-elect, Adelita Grijalva from Arizona. And then that will trigger a whole domino effect as it relates to this. Shocking. Now, I'm going to go through, let's go through this Times report, because there are things in there that have not been mentioned in the ABC News report because it's such a lengthy report. They went through the highlights, and let me know what you think in the comments. House Democrats on Wednesday released emails in which Jeffrey Epstein wrote that President Trump had spent hours at my house, that's a quote, with one of Mr. Epstein's victims, among other messages that suggested that the convicted sex offender believed Mr. Trump knew more about his abuse than he has acknowledged. Donald Trump emphatically denying all of this for months now. Before, he never really talked about it because he wanted the information released. That's what he said. He wanted it released because he thought it would implicate people like Bill Clinton, and as he says, Democrats and Larry Summers and others, allegedly. That's what he believed. And then now, when it gets close, when he has flown too close to the sun like Icarus and his wings are about to burn, he wants to have it shut off. It's all starting to make sense, and it's all starting to come back now. Through everything, he wants to sue everyone, including Michael Wolff, including everyone who even mentions the Epstein files or his involvement, anyone who is close to him and who may have information about it. And we are only left to our own devices to try to figure out why he doesn't want this release after spending years, him bringing it up first, him spending years saying that he wanted these files released. Perhaps he thought that it would not be so in-depth, that it wouldn't be such an exhaustive investigation. But I don't know. Mr. Trump has emphatically denied any involvement in or knowledge of Mr. Epstein's sex trafficking operation. He said that he and Mr. Epstein, the disgraced financier who died by suicide, in a federal prison in 2019, were once friendly, but had a falling out. Now let's talk about these emails, because the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee said that the emails, which they selected from thousands of pages of documents, remember there are thousands more that are going to be released, according to Garcia and others, this is like, I think they said like 3% of the actual files and information that should be released. And so these are thousands of pages that they have now of documents received by their panel, raise new questions about the relationship between the two men. In one of the messages, Mr. Epstein flatly asserted that Mr. Trump knew about the girls. Let's go to the emails, shall we, Andy? And then we'll get back to this New York Times article. But this is the one where he is talking to, this is Ghislaine Maxwell, and he says, I have been thinking about that. I wanted you to realize that the dog hasn't barked. The dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my home, and her name is redacted because her name is in here. Spent hours at my home with him, and he has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there, and they're responding to other information. So this is only a small percentage of the documents that have yet to be released. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know if you guys understand how big a news this is. It's the reason that I rushed to the airport to get this on. I'm just be completely transparent with you. We had an entirely different show planned to talk about Donald Trump's interview with Laura Ingraham last night, where he basically said the same thing that Vivek Ramaswamy and I believe Elon Musk said back in December or January, that there was a culture in America that didn't allow for the types of skills and jobs needed to do certain tech jobs, and they needed H-1B visas. And Donald Trump is agreeing with him in this interview, surely something that would really tick off the MAGA faithful, because they believe that the folks who are coming in, these immigrants, are taking their jobs. But now this bombshell, I've been telling you guys that MAGA is flailing and they're scared, and that's why they're doing all of these things. So that was one of the emails, this one between Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump. And then there's another email number 2. Put that one up, Andy. Email number 2. I believe this one is between, I'm not sure. This is Michael Wolff. Direct correspondence between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff. Now, here's the interesting one, the one between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff. Because Michael Wolff has been on this show, and as you know, Michael Wolff is suing Melania Trump because he believes, it's a slap lawsuit because he thinks it's a frivolous lawsuit, but she believes that they are impinging the freedom of speech, folks. They're impinging upon his First Amendment right of freedom of speech. And so he is suing the First Lady of the United States. And so in this release by the Oversight Committee, the Democrats on the Oversight Committee, well, not just the Oversight Committee. It's not just the Democrats. So this is to Michael Wolff from Jeffrey Epstein, and it says the victim, whose name has been redacted, at Mar-a-Lago, and then there's another redaction there. Trump said he asked me to resign, and he said never a member ever, meaning maybe he was never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls, and he asked Ghislaine to stop. Now, I think that needs more context because these are partially redacted emails. But according to Jeffrey Epstein, who did not know, I would imagine, his demise, this is from January 31st of 2019, victim at Mar-a-Lago. She must have done something. I would imagine it's saying the victim's name, who did this and such, what her job title was and what she did at Mar-a-Lago. And then there's more information about her, I guess, that would identify them. Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. And of course, this is the valuable statement or sentence here. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Now, I would love some context on that. Now, Andy, let's go to email number 3, shall we? This is email number 3. Okay. Email number 3 is a direct correspondence between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff. Okay, can we make that one bigger? Thank you, Andy. All right, so importance high from Jeffrey Epstein. This is 12/16/2015. So this is way before the other ones. What is the date on the first one, on the Ghislaine Maxwell one? Do we know what that date is, guys? Can you tell me?
April 2nd, 2011.
Okay, so this 2011 is first. So I imagine in order, I mean, if you would go in chronological order, it would be this first one. I've been thinking about that. It was they're trying to figure out, what's going on. Jeffrey Epstein is being implicated. Remember, he did go to jail and then got a deal from someone who turned out to be a Donald Trump, someone Donald Trump had appointed. But anyways, he got this sweetheart deal, and then he was rearrested on other charges later at a later time, and then died in prison. But here's the thing: so this one would go first, and then the one that I'm going to read now chronologically would be the second one. Okay, so this one now is between Epstein and Wolff. He says, "I think you should let him hang himself." This is Jeffrey Epstein's alleged reported email. And he is reportedly giving advice to Jeffrey Epstein about how he should handle Donald Trump and Donald Trump's possible involvement in this, and really how Donald Trump is hanging, what he should do to get some sort of leverage between him and Donald Trump. So he says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt, meaning that he would owe you for something. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Interesting. Michael Wolff had foresight about that way back in 2015. So this is from 2015, this email. If we were able to craft an answer for him, and that's what Jeffrey Epstein writes back, what would you think it should be? And then he writes back, Mr. Wolff says, well, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in a scrum afterwards. So again, lots here to discuss. I want to bring in now an incredible journalist, a partner at Puck News, an MSNBC analyst, and the co-host of the Hacks on Tap podcast, Mr. John Heilemann. John, thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Sir, how are you?
So I had a completely different show plan back in my little studio that I set up. And I have Robert Garcia. The only time I could get him is later, and it's closer to my flight, but I couldn't miss out on getting him and you. Thank you for joining us. John, I don't know what to make of it.
It's breaking news, Don. That's the thing. It is.
Yeah. So what is going on? What do you make of this? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Do I unmute?
Okay, now I can hear you. Go on. So what do you make of this? Okay, John, apparently we can't hear you. So no one can hear you. We heard you immediately. Now we can hear you. Are you there?
Okay, hold on.
There you go. Nope, not now.
What about now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what's going on because
maybe you have to get
muted.
closer. You're not muted. So start over, please, will you, sir? Because no one heard you. So what do you make of this? Sorry about that.
I'm asking, my question is, do you mean in the short term, in the micro, like why is this email out today? Or do you mean in the macro of kind of where's the story going? Which would you like to discuss first?
Why don't we say, why is this story out today?
Well, I think the House Oversight Committee clearly, Democrats on the committee clearly had this email and have been waiting for Congress to come back into session to release it. You know, this is not This was not suddenly discovered this morning, Don. Like was in some tranche of emails that they had already had access to. And so you can ask Garcia about this, but it's clear that they have been waiting because of the stall tactics of Speaker Johnson, who has refused to seat new Congresswoman-elect Grijalba. That is the key, one of the key votes for getting this discharge petition to ostensibly give us access to all of the Epstein files. But until Congress was back in session, he made it clear he wasn't going to do that. Now Congress is coming back into session in order to vote to reopen the government. And that is kind of the drum roll to the discharge petition vote. So I think that this is Congressman Garcia and Democrats on the Oversight Committee are setting the stage for that vote and trying to give some indication of the fact that even before they have access to the full tranche of emails that comprise the Epstein files and all the other things that are in the Epstein files, they're already starting to see evidence that is pretty suggestive of the fact that at a minimum, Donald Trump has not been honest about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And at a maximum, he could conceivably be implicated in some of Epstein's crimes. That's a suggestion in these emails. The emails do not prove that. We still sit here not knowing exactly what his role was, except I think it's pretty clear from the testimony of the victims, the survivors, that Donald Trump's portrayal of the relationship. He was this guy I once knew. We moved in some of the same circles, but we didn't really have much of a relationship. And then we stopped having a relationship, and I don't really know anything about what was going on with that guy. He, seemed kind of like a creep to me, but that's it. That seems to be a pretty dramatic understatement of the nature of the relationship, where they in fact were really good close friends for a long time, and they were running buddies, and we'll see where that leads.
Now we'll see where this goes, but I'll talk to you about where this goes in a moment. But so when you read these emails, what do you get? Do you get anything from this? Does it give you a sense of anything, John?
Well, you have, on the basis of these three emails alone, you have, there's a little bit of opacity to the email with Ghislaine Maxwell, in the sense that, what does he mean when he says the dog that hasn't barked? Don, I think in the colloquial, what we assume that to mean is that the suggestion there is here is the most notorious pedophile of our era, communicating with the woman who was his groomer, the woman who brought him the women that he preyed on, and he is saying to her, there is a dog out there that has not yet barked, and that again, in the colloquial use of the term, would be there is somebody who knows something that could be damaging to us, who has not yet come forward and said those things that could be damaging, and that person, he says, is Trump. So that's what you read from that.
But he's saying he spent hours with a victim at
Epstein. That's what Epstein is
my
claiming.
house. Yeah,
that's what Epstein is claiming. Again, in this is a private email exchange between him and Ghislaine Maxwell. There's no reason for him to be lying to Ghislaine Maxwell in real time. So again, we always have some skepticism about Epstein's credibility, because he's a liar and a pedophile and all the other things we know about him. But he is saying, they spent hours together. You and I can both speculate about what Donald Trump would have been doing for hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with one of his victims. I won't, we have no basis to assert anything, but the mind goes to various possibilities. One is they could have been playing Pinochle, for hours, or Monopoly.
I haven't heard Pinochle in years, John.
Right.
You're showing your age. That was a game of our age.
How about Canasta or Mahjong,
yes.
or Mahjong, Don?
Mahjong, yes.
Or maybe they're playing Pong on Jeffrey Epstein's Atari.
Gin rummy. Yeah.
Right. They could have been doing that. They could have been watching, old movies together. They could have been, Donald Trump could have been expressing sympathy for her for all the terrible things that Jeffrey Epstein alone was doing to her. There's a lot of things, with we have no basis to state there was more than that, but there are obviously many other things that he could have been doing that would be more damaging and potentially criminal with that in those hours. We just don't know what that means, except for the dog that hasn't barked suggests that the information that he would bring forward would be damaging to someone. Epstein is saying this to Maxwell suggests that it would be at a minimum damaging to them, to him, Epstein, and her, Maxwell, because that is kind of what the connotation of the dog that hasn't barked. They've been waiting. They're worried that this dog is going to bark. There's a dog out there. The dog hasn't barked. That they're worried about that in some way. And she says, in response, she says, I've been thinking about that. Like essentially, she's, again, one assumes that she's been, what she means by thinking about that is she's been worried about that. That's again what the colloquial meaning of that kind of terminology suggests. So, Trump has never admitted to spending hours in the presence of one of Jeffrey Epstein's at his house in the presence of one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I'll note that the Michael Wolff exchanges, again, Michael Wolff.
That's where I wanted to go through next. But let's put that email up. This is a Michael Wolff email. Right. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. There's two of them, right? There's one this is the earlier one, the 2016 exchange.
You want the first one or this one?
Well, put up. Let's do them chronologically. Put up the first one first. Let's do it first, so we can. Andy. So we'll do them chronologically. This is no. Sorry, this is the Maxwell email, right? We just talked about that. What's the first Michael? What's the first Michael Wolff one? Is the 16 one, right? So this is Don.
This is the 15 one. That's the 15 one. That's the first one.
Right, there's in 15. So, he's talking about a CNN debate. I don't remember which, there were a lot of debates in 2015, 2016. I don't know if you were involved in this one, but you were at the network and in 2015, CNN debate, December 2015. I don't remember exactly where that was or who the moderator of it was.
Is this the one that was maybe it was the one that was at the Reagan Center. Do you remember that? That was at the Reagan Library and that had the Reagan plane behind it. There were a couple of those, but
I think that was earlier. I think this might have been. Do you remember there was one that they had? That there was one in Iowa that Trump ended up not going to. Do you remember that?
I remember. Yes.
I think that was a CNN debate, or was that a Fox News debate?
There was. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyways,
let's find out. We'll find out.
You're going to the Google machine.
Yeah. In any event, first of all, what do you look for? You look at this email. Here's what you see. You see an email that seems as though Michael Wolff has a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein as a reporter, author, whatever, some kind of relationship. This does not seem like maybe the first email he's ever sent to Jeffrey Epstein. There's no like, hey, Jeffrey, we've never met. I'm Michael Wolff. I'm blah, blah, blah. This is before Wolff's first book. He wrote the book from the Trump. His first book on Trump was written basically on the basis of him spending a lot of time in the White House with Trump in 2017 once Trump became president. So this is during the campaign. We've not yet gotten to the Iowa caucuses. There's apparently a CNN debate on December 15th of 2015.
Okay, so I'm looking for that one. Fifth Republican primary debate, main stage, December 15th, 2015, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada
resort.
Who are the hosts of that? Who are the moderators of that debate?
I think it was Jeb Bush, but let me just look at it real quick because it's up on.
I remember that was a bad debate for Jeb Bush. I do remember this debate now. I remember being in the press file watching it on the closed circuit. I don't remember who the moderator was though. It'll be really funny if it was you.
No, I don't think I would remember that. I remember the Democratic debate that I ran into. It's Wolf Blitzer.
Right. Okay.
I ran into you in the lobby of the hotel and I said, hey, John, what's going on? And you said, you tell me. You're one of the moderators of the debate.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
That was Detroit.
That sounds like me. So look, this suggests that Michael Wolff has a relationship of some kind, reportorial relationship. Jeffrey Epstein's a source. They clearly have corresponded before. He's not introducing himself here. He says that, I hear CNN's planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in Scrum afterwards. People have now gone back and reviewed the transcript of that debate, and he was not asked about it on stage by Wolff.
I just did Epstein, 0 comments, 0 number of references in the transcript. The Fifth Republican undercard debate 2015 transcript, no references.
Right. So there were no references. Now he says in the scrum afterwards, that's the thing that as far as I can see, by the time I got on with you, no one has yet, to my knowledge, gone back and looked at all of the spin room stuff. Trump probably would have gone to the spin room. He used to go to the spin room after every debate. Was he asked about it there? I don't know.
Do you remember the soundbite where he is asked about it, or he brings it up, but he mentions he implicates Bill Clinton? Was that a debate? Was that a scrum after a debate? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he often pointed to Bill Clinton's relationship with Epstein. He continues to do that. He says it with some frequency. Well, Bill Clinton was the one who had the relationship with Epstein. He knew Bill Clinton way more than I did, or he knew Epstein way more than I did. But I don't remember exactly when that first popped out of Donald Trump's mouth. I think the important context of that is that for a lot of reporters who are covering the 2016 campaign, we were aware that Epstein had a relationship with both of these guys. We didn't know exactly what that was, but there were lots of rumors about either or both of them having flown on Epstein's plane, the so-called Lolita Express, that either one or both of them had been to the island on more than one occasion. And one of the questions was kind of when were we going to get more detail about that in the course of the campaign? It would seem like kind of crazy because, of course, Bill Clinton not running for president in 2016, but Hillary Clinton, his wife, was. And so there was concern that on the part of the Clinton campaign that Bill Clinton being tied to Jeffrey Epstein would hurt her bid for the Democratic nomination. And people talked about it in the context of Trump. And that's why I think it's perfectly reasonable. It makes sense that you could imagine Michael Wolff hearing a rumor that someone at CNN might be, or that Wolff might be about to ask him about that on stage, where, as you pointed out, it's the fifth Republican debate. It's December 2015. We've already had 5 of these debates between Republican nominees. So you can imagine a lot of the obvious questions have been asked already about, foreign policy or domestic policy, and people were starting to think about some other matters. As I said, it didn't come up in the debate. But what do you read from this email? I mean, it's, again, to my point about his relationship with Wolff, he feels comfortable asking this reporter. Again, there's no stipulation of on or off the record here anywhere in this email. He says, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? He's asking Wolff's advice about what to do here. It was an odd question, kind of conspiratorial kind of question to be asking of a reporter. I don't know, Don, have you ever had a presidential candidate or a close aide ask you what should we say about this if one of your colleagues asks a question of him? I mean, it's kind of it'd be a weird thing for someone to ask you that, I suppose. You ever had that happen to you?
No, not really.
No, it's not a thing that most of us would feel like comfortable answering. Like, here, let me give you my advice about how to spin this, Jeffrey. Already by that time, a well-known consorter with underage girls. A weird conversation. But you get his advice about how to try to. About
how do I spin this? But let me just
how to deal with it.
Where does this story go from here? Because you mentioned that in the beginning. So what happens now?
Well, I would say the other thing in the second, the second Michael Wolff email real quick.
Okay. Second Michael Wolff email, please, Andy.
Just so we get one additional fact here about this, right? Or one additional thing. The second one's from like 2019, I believe, much later.
Yeah, the Ghislaine Maxwell was at 2011, and then this one was 2015, and the next one is 2019. Do we have that one, Andy? Is it up
it's
there
up right now? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't see it. There's something StreamYard is weird today, and that's probably why. So there it is. So the second one says, this is 2019. This is
okay. There's not much there.
Yeah.
Trump said he asked me to resign. Never remember ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked. Right. So this is where Epstein basically again is asserting. Of course, he knew about the girls, which is contrary to what Trump has testified. There's one of these emails, I forget which one, maybe it's that second Michael Wolff one, where he says something about the plane, how to deal with the notion that whether Trump had been on the plane or not, which sort of suggested that Michael Wolff knew or thought that Trump had flown on the plane. Where does it go from here, Don, is the question. It goes we'll get this vote on the discharge petition. It seems that the group of Congress people, mostly Democrats, but some Republicans, including Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are going to vote for the discharge petition. This is what Johnson's been trying to stall along. Is they're going to vote for it, and then it's going to go to the Senate. And this is a law like every other law. It has to get passed through both houses of Congress for it to take effect. And I think that question of what will Republicans, this is a question almost no one has been focused on, is what do Republicans in the Senate do on this question? It's not like the House can just order the release of these transcripts, at least as I understand it, the release of the Epstein files. So the question is, in a majority vote, if Republicans in lockstep vote against releasing the Epstein files, the discharge petition will go nowhere. But it's going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of Republican senators who are going to be, I imagine, a lot of them have been very loyal to Donald Trump. Not very many of them have crossed him, although they have started to a little bit more recently, including on the filibuster, right? Where Trump said, got to abolish the filibuster. And very quickly, John Thune said, we don't have the votes for that. We're not going to do that. So, I think where the story goes from here is, most importantly, that Republicans led by Donald Trump, abetted by Mike Johnson and by a lot of others in the party, have done everything they could since this story erupted in the early summer to try to put it away, to try to stall the thing for long enough. The most dramatic example of this was Johnson sending the House Republicans home early on recess in August because he was worried about this discharge petition vote. And the theory of the case of Mike Johnson and others has been, if we just stall this long enough, people are going to lose interest. The news cycle moves really fast. The Trump show goes on. People are going to forget. And they haven't. The pressure has not lessened at all. The Republican House members went home to their districts and they heard about it from their constituents. The pressure just continues to build.
John, hold that thought right there. Unless you have to go, I got to get a break in, and then Robert Garcia is going to join us, who's the head of the Oversight Committee. Yeah. Okay. So, word from our sponsors.
Support comes from Cozy Earth. Now, that moment during the holidays when the house is finally quiet, everything quiets down, the lights from the tree are glowing, and you're just curled up under a blanket with the people you love. Maybe a fire is going, the dogs are there, whatever. That's my definition of cozy. And Cozy Earth helps make that moment perfect, or many moments like that, right? Their sheets are made from viscose from bamboo, so they actually regulate your temperature, and that keeps you cool and comfortable all night. I've given them as gifts, and let me tell you, they're always the favorite gift to get and to receive, as a matter of fact. Cozy Earth gives you a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. And right now, Black Friday came early, and you can stack my code DON on top of their site-wide sale for 40% off. That's pretty good. That's CozyEarth.com, and the code is DON for up to 40% off. That's a great deal. Wrap the ones you love in luxury this holiday season with Cozy Earth. This episode of The Don Lemon Show is brought to you by Graza. It's my favorite olive oil. Fresh, single origin, and full of flavor. I have been using Graza in my kitchen for months now, and it makes everything taste better, from roasted veggies to pasta to holiday dinners. And I'm telling the truth because I've cooked dinner for you on camera, okay? In a live video, a live stream. Graza is never blended, always picked, pressed, and bottled in the same season. You can literally see the harvest date on the bottle, and their gift sets, perfect for the holidays. And I love the new dinner party pack. It comes with olive oil for cooking and finishing, a bottle of wine, chips, and even a corkscrew. All right, so that's great. Right now, you can get 10% off of your first order at graza.co/Don. I recommend their duo gift set for a dinner party pack. Both of those, or the dinner party pack, I should say, both of those are a really great gift, ready to gift, both guaranteed hits, okay? That's graza.co/Don, code Don for 10% off. Cook, gift, and celebrate with Graza.
All right. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Representative Robert Garcia is here. He served in California's 42nd Congressional District since 2023. He's a Democratic ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. John Heilemann, journalist, is here as well. So, Representative, what does this mean, this breaking news and these emails?
I mean, look, I think this is pretty serious. I look, at the end of the day, we've been saying from day one that we want all the files released, and we keep getting pieces. As Democrats are working hard, we're getting pieces from the Epstein estate and other sources. What the emails essentially say today is that there is clearly connections between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's activities. Obviously, one of the emails alleges that Donald Trump spent multiple hours with one of the victims. Another email alleges that Donald Trump knew about the girls. And so these emails really raise serious questions as to why Donald Trump and Pam Bondi won't release the files. And there's more documents on the way. We'll be releasing more today and in the days ahead. But Donald Trump could end this today by releasing all the files.
You mentioned that there are other files that are going to be released today. Can you please talk to us about that?
Look, I think we have some communications between Steve Bannon that we're going to put out today. We expect the entire 23,000 pages of documents will be released at some point today or tomorrow. We are trying to redact all of the victims' names and identifiable information, so it takes some time. We received this batch just a few days ago.
John Heilman said just before you came on that what's next is how Republicans are going to react to this and how much they're going to fight it. Do you think they'll fight it, or do you think these will actually be released? Do you have enough people?
I think as long as Donald Trump wants to continue this cover-up, he is going to make it very hard for Republicans to support the release. I do hope that our discharge petition goes through, then it goes to the Senate where the real, test is going to be. And if the Senate wants to do the right thing and they believe in transparency, then they should absolutely send this off and get this thing done. Whether Donald Trump will ever release the files, we just don't know. What we do know is that we're going to get the truth out. Whether he releases them or not, we are putting together, through our investigation, a case that it all points back to a massive cover-up. And what we want is justice for all these victims and survivors.
I know that you have a time constraint here. Just wondering, so what is next? What should people watching and what should Americans expect next?
What's next is going to be this vote in the House to the full House and the Congress to release the files once Adelita Grijalva becomes a member of Congress. And stay tuned for more documents and releases from us, from the oversight Democrats. The only reason why information is even out is because oversight Democrats have fought like hell to get them out. And Republicans have tried to push back on us every single time, but we forced subpoena votes. We have called on things to be released. We're working directly with the Epstein estate. And the American public should know that we're going to continue to do that. And this is a moment where we've got to be all in and fight like hell for all the survivors.
Okay, and you've got to run. John, I'm sure you have a question, but I think the representative has to go. Do you have a question, John, or you're good?
Do a quick one.
Congressman, look, who's going to lead you've been the point man on this in the House. Do you have an idea who the Senate Democrat is who's going to be playing the Robert Garcia role when the discharge petition gets over to the Senate?
Honestly, I'm not sure yet. I think they're having conversations about who's going to take the lead when it goes to the Senate. A lot will depend if this ends up in the kind of judiciary scope or where it ends up. But what we do know is that every senator should be involved. We've been telling our caucus in the House, we want everyone involved. And we have folks like Chairman or soon to be Chairman Raskin and others that know a lot about this. We're working on this that we're partnering with. And so whether it's Jamie Raskin or myself in the House, the same thing needs to be in place in the Senate. It's got to be multiple people.
Thank you, Representative. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. They've done a really good job, John, of getting this, of at least getting where we are so far. What did you make of what he said?
Well, look, Robert Garcia is a rising star in the Democratic Party, and primarily because of this. He's been, he's a very, very young man. It has been, I think it's his fourth term in Congress. He was the mayor of Long Beach before he came to Congress. And, you know how it is in the House, Don. Seniority normally drives everything. So he has leapfrogged over all kinds of people on the House Oversight Committee to become really the main voice for Democrats on the Oversight Committee. And the Oversight Committee is where a lot of the action has been on this Epstein thing. And he has worked tirelessly. He's a lot of people complain about the gerontocracy in the Democratic Party, and they're right to. All these geezers who don't understand the modern media landscape, don't understand social media, don't understand the importance of being everywhere all at once and doing all kinds of stuff to stay in people's face, the attention economy. Robert Garcia gets it, and he has seized this moment when Democrats were largely on their heels, saw the importance of this issue, I think, on a moral level, but also on a political level, and has just been relentless since this issue came to the fore. There's not a single person who's done more on the Democratic side to keep the pressure on the Epstein files than Robert Garcia. And I think he, he said essentially what we were talking about before he came on, but I was heartened in a way, just because I like to be proven right. I mean, he's got his eyes on the Senate already. He knows he's got the votes to pass the discharge petition through the House. There's going to be a debate, et cetera, but all the Democrats are going to vote for it. And there are enough Republicans there to get this done. Again, there's no such thing. Certainty people can change their mind, but as of right now, his whip count means they're going to pass this out of the House, but the Senate is where things are going to get really interesting, because he's going to need to find some Republicans. Democrats are going to need to find some Republicans on the Senate side who do what Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene are doing, which is, and Thomas Massie, the co-sponsor of the discharge petition, who have decided that they don't give a shit about loyalty to Trump on this issue, that for whatever set of reasons, they're going to vote their conscience. And again, that's been in short supply in the Republican Party throughout Trump 2.0. In the House, there have been just enough to get this thing across by one vote, it appears, once Grijalva gets sworn in. But that's the question in the Senate. Are there the 4 Republican senators who are willing to break from Trump and vote for this? And I think the political pressure on them is going to be intense, especially for Republican senators who are up for re-election in 2026. Are they really going to stand in the way of this?
Well, we'll see. We're going to see how it plays out. John Heilemann is a partner at Puck News and MSNBC analyst and a co-host of the Hacks on Tap podcast, and now a friend of the show. I really appreciate you, John, for jumping on at such late notice with this breaking news. And
dude, I was going to sleep last night. I'm getting ready to go. I'm ready to go to sleep. As one does, because I'm a psychopath and a sicko, just like you.
I know where you're going.
I just go by a little quick check. I don't doom scroll. I just do a quick check to make sure I haven't missed anything on the old Instagram. And the first thing that pops up in my feed, here's Don Lemon asking about Scott Galloway's penis. I'm like, that I did not need that before I went to sleep. I didn't need,
There's a method to my madness. Here's the thing. They asked me to be their special surprise guest when they did audience questions. And so everyone was like, I said, I'm Don Lemon. And I had a really tough question about
Don Lemon from New York. I'm Don Lemon from New York.
Yeah. And then, but they cut out, I said, I should say I'm from the Don Lemon Show. And I turned to the audience and said on YouTube. But I asked Scott a very tough question, I believe, regarding young men and what he says is a crisis of young men.
Yeah.
And it as it regards to, and I asked the question in regards to who is having this crisis, because for many people, for many demographics, they live in crisis, and even women, especially in Black men.
Sure.
And so this was more about, not entitlement. Well, I guess entitlement meeting reality. You know what I mean? So that was the next question, but I got serious, but I needed to break the ice.
Wow. What I love is the fact that there's as icebreakers go, asking Kara whether she's ever seen Scott Galloway's penis. It was strong. It was strong. It definitely broke the ice.
It did, and he had shown his stomach, and he kept talking the whole time about balls and testicles. And so I said, I'm going to ask this question. But John, I got to run. My plane's boarding.
All right, see you later, man.
All right, love you, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. A word from our sponsors.
Support for the show today comes from Ollie. You know how much I love my dogs. I talk about them every day. They're in the show. Boomer, Barkley, and Gus Gus. They are my family. So I wanted the best for them. And that's why I switched to Ollie. Ollie makes fresh human-grade meals for dogs. Real protein, slow cooked, vet approved. Boomer used to be really, really picky. They're all picky, but he's a pickier. But now he runs to the bowl. And the Ollie app even lets you do all of that quick health screenings, and you can talk to experts. So it's easy. Just take their 30-second quiz, and they're going to send you a custom meal plan for your pup. So go to ollie.com/lemon and tell them about your dog and use the code LEMON for 60% off of your first box, okay? Plus, they have a happiness guarantee. If you're not completely happy, you can get your money back. That's OLLID.com/lemon and use the code LEMON for 60% off. Support for the show comes from Lean. Look, we've all tried those fad diets, all of those diets that they don't stick. You lose a few pounds and then you gain it right back. It's called weight cycling, and it's tough on your body. Doctors say that can raise your risk of diabetes, heart attack, and even a stroke. So that's why Lean I like lean because it is not a shot or a fad. It is a doctor-formulated, non-prescription supplement that helps stop the cycle. Lean supports healthy blood sugar, it curbs cravings, and it helps your body turn fat into energy so you can lose weight at a healthy pace and keep it off. So if you're ready to finally break the cycle, go to takelean.com, use the code LEMON for 20% off. That is TAKELEAN.com, and use the code LEMON for 20% off. Thanks to all of our sponsors.
Thank you to all of our sponsors, and thank you guys for tuning in today. If you want to know anything about the Don Lemon Show, go to donlemon.com. Everything you need is right there at donlemon.com, okay? I'm going to see you back here at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So until I see you back here on the Don Lemon Show, on the Don Lemon channel, for Lemon Live at 5, I want you to be informed without being inundated and turn the TV off.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.